Hello everybody, my name is Chris Kolb. I'm a physical therapist here at OSU Sports Medicine at Bo Jackson. Today I want to talk a little bit about training the core. So thinking about it from a conceptual standpoint, I want to kind of present to you what we call training the Octagon. So it's basically eight simple movements that you can do, and even if you don't know anything about human movement or the body, you can ensure that you're getting a full training of the core through this simple model. So what I want to do is present that a little bit and start by talking about the Octagon. So basically it's 8 sides, and we know that everything's connected. The core really consists of the abdominals, the lateral part of the trunk, the back side obviously, and also the hip. So a lot of people kind of just think of the core as the abdominals, but it's really kind of this whole cylindrical type of thing that connects the shoulders to the hips, becomes critical for force transformation and stiffness to allow us to produce or reduce force for human movement in terms of sports participation or even just activities of daily living. So if we think about that and keep that in mind, again, looking at the Octagon, we have, again, 8 sides. So it's 8 simple movements. We label it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So starting at 1, 2, and 8 are extension-based movements. 3 to 7 are rotational-based movements. And 4, 5, and 6 are more flexion and flexion rotational based movements. So if we think about just starting out with number 1, that would basically look like starting from a flex position, moving into an extended position. So we might think of having a band in a low position. The band would basically be pulling us forward, maybe doing a RDL or a deadlift. So as we move forward, and then the band creates tension as we, again, resist coming up. So again, we're working into an extension-based type of movement, for vector 1. Vector 2 is going to be extension also, but it's also going to include some rotation. So if I'm standing here, we think of vector 2 is over here. Again, I have a band that's attached to a low position. I'm going to be moving from a low to a high position. So again, I would hold on to my band here, basically load my hip, drop my shoulders just a little bit, and then stand up and pull the band across the body. So again, this is basically training the body for extension and rotation, loading that hip in all 3 planes of motion, integrating the core with that for direction change type of movements. If I want to kind of make that a little bit more simplistic, I could simply just stand in a nice stable position, grab a hold of my band, basically pull that band, and then again resist, again activating my core from more of a stability standpoint. So again, we can do this 2 ways. We can do one for stability and then one for more of kind of an active type of movement. We go up into the 3rd vector here. That one's pretty simple. We're basically just going across the body from right to left. Again, working on some rotational movement. Now, anytime we're working on rotation, if we're doing small stability, what we call stability movements, the feet can stay fairly planted on the ground. If we're going to do a bigger type of motion, we want to make sure we unlock our heels and pivot so we can rotate around our hip because our low back only has so much motion. So this is going to start to activate our rotational base core muscles. If we go up into the 4th vector here, it's going to now be a little bit more of a flexion-based movement with some rotation. So again, vector 4, my band might be attached up in the high position. I'm going to be pulling from the high to low. So from a stability standpoint, if I just get myself stable, I grab a hold of my band, I pull the band down, creating stiffness. I can work on a stability. Or if I'm going to go with a little bit more of a dynamic movement, I can then rotate my feet, pull down and across to create that flexion rotation for pulling things down towards the ground. Number 5, again, we'll be going from an extended to a flexed position. So again, my band might be up in the high position. I might have a hold of it, and I might pull straight down from a stability standpoint. If I want to do something a little bit more active, I might do what we call a band skier, where we might pull down and then allow the hips to flex with that. So we're creating flexion just like we do with the sit-up, but we don't get the flexion of the actual spine that occurs with the sit-up. So it's a little safer version to train those same muscles in a vertical upright position, working against gravity, ground reaction forces, and momentum. Vector 6 is just the opposite of 4, where we're pulling from left to right from that high to low position. 7, again, is rotation, just pulling from left to right across the body. And 8 is really the opposite of 2, where we're going from that low to high into that extension-based movement, where we're getting a little bit of extension and rotation for direction change type of activities, or just kind of more of that stability type of direction. So that's basically 8 simple movements you can do to ensure you're training the entire core for functional-based movement. So even like I said, if you don't know anything about human movement, the 4 pillars of movement, realize that the body's all connected. You can ensure that you're training the core thoroughly by using these simple 8 movements, training the Octagon.